All right, happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Diamond Talk, presented by Thacker Jewelry here in Lubbock. Your love story, your story begins at Thacker Jewelry. We're in the Arctic Air Studios. Not really hot around the South Plains today, but the heat's coming. That's when you need to call the bear if your air is not Arctic air. And of course, all communications tonight on Diamond Talk, brought to you by United Supermarkets, Market Street. They probably still have some great ad specials waiting for you today. Though it's a little late in the afternoon on Sunday, they always have great ad specials on Sundays. Great supporters of Texas Tech Athletics. It's United Supermarket, bringing you, whether you are on YouTube, whether you are on Facebook, whether you are on Twitter, your communication provided by United Supermarkets and or the dogs that are barking in the background today. As we hang out here in the Arctic Air Studios, we'll look at Texas Tech baseball today. Swept, obviously, this weekend by Kansas. The harsh reality is you're running out of time if you're Tech baseball to improve the resume. There just aren't that many more opportunities. Some teams never get there. Some teams never coalesce. Are we watching one of those teams not coalesce? We'll talk about that. We'll find out what you think, what happens from here, your analysis of the weekend. If you want to go deep dive specifics, I'm willing to do that. If you just want to go big picture, willing to do that as well. It's Diamond Talk. It's what we do. We love talking baseball with you. All right, let's get it going. In three, in two. Good afternoon, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com. You start your day at TheRaiderland.com. Did you see our column today? 5 things we know on a Sunday. Hey, yesterday we had some quick thoughts on Tech baseball. You can go back and look at that if you want to. But we're glad you're here for Diamond Talk, no matter what platform you are watching. We have a multi-platform network of YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live. We figure somebody's like enjoying the podcast, broadcast, whatever you want to call it on one of those, we're happy to do it. And we obviously want to hear from you. So Twitter, Facebook, whatever, thanks you, United Supermarkets. Type your question in. It's just like a text message. It pops up on our end. We will answer as we go through. I promise we will. Tasty. So the reality: Texas Tech gets beat today, 7-3. Each game in the series, Texas Tech, I believe, started off with a 2-run lead, and then that's when the offense petered out every day. This right now is a group effort when it comes to inability to win games, particularly on the road. And that's really where the struggles for this team have been, on the road. They have not scored more than 7 runs in a single game on the road. This week at Kansas. Now, and I want to be fair. I always want to be fair. This weekend on the road, the wind was blowing in all weekend long. That was the way the park was playing. Yet Texas Tech only scores 8 runs in 3 games. Most of the time in the Big 12, you're going to need to score 7 or 8 runs in a game to win. Texas Tech has not scored more than 7 runs in a single road Big 12 game this year. Yet everyone wants to talk about, the pitching. And that's fine. We can talk about the pitching. Parker Hutera, an absolute pants wetting on Friday night. Couldn't get out of the ninth. Walk, bloop, game over. Today, 8 of 9 retired was as good as you can get. Fielding lets you down as well. So before we get anywhere talking about, wow, the pitching, wow, whatever. No, it's a group effort. This team is a total group effort of inability to win the games they need to win right now and they're in the NCAA tournament right now, but the NCAA tournament doesn't start today. You still got to play Oklahoma. You still got to go to Oklahoma State. You go to Tempe, and then the Big 12 tournament, which no longer matters. The postseason tournaments, conference tournaments don't matter to the NCAA. There's nothing you can do short of winning it, literally, that will change anything about your postseason destination. And hopefully Texas Tech won't be in that position. But today was another classic example of you can't get out of an inning, and you want Mac Heuer to get out of the inning. And Mac Heuer looked really good. And people will say, well, Tadlock left him in a batter too long. Okay, but you got to ride with some guys at a certain point. They got to execute pitches. And then Roger Sanders, who came in on the second second stint today. Pardon me. Got to go back and yeah, it was Rogers. I want to make sure I had that right. Doesn't get any better. So it's not just any one thing. It's one thing in one moment, but it's not any one thing overall. So I ask you today, what happens now? The harsh reality is you had a 38 RPI going into today. It'll drop into the 40s, put you on the bubble. You were going to have to, no matter what, in the final weeks of May, decide your NCAA tournament fate, whether it be seeding, whether it be in, whatever. And we talked about the ceiling was a 2 seed. Kiss that goodbye. Now you want to make the tournament. You want to make the tournament, and you you don't want to go to A&M. Those are the two things right now that the goals are. Can Texas Tech get there? Can this team do it from here? What will they do? Can they get right? I don't know. Some never get there. Where was the offense all weekend? I don't think this offense ever completely adjusted to the way the park was playing. The way the park was playing, it was blowing in. It was playing in Yellowstone. The winds were blowing in, and you just needed little gorks, dinks, little flares. That's all. Can't hit it out of there. And that's what Kansas did to you. They dinked you to death. You bled to death by paper cuts. Mosquito bites and paper cuts beat you. But you didn't really adjust to that, I thought, very well at the plate. And I don't think the pitchers really realized, and particularly I'll not to pick on Mac Hewer, but he had many opportunities there in the inning with the wind blowing in, invite guys to hit it up into the air. Now, how do you do that? Well, one, you attack the strike zone. Two, you can work away. You can work away from guys. Dare them to try to pull it. That's where you can work up in the zone. You can work up and away. And I thought some of the situational pitching this weekend and situational hitting, obviously, not very good, that you didn't handle it. So once more, some guys get it, some guys don't. If you guys want to comment, question, fire away. I want to do that. The next thing you can do is share this on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or wherever, and invite some people in. Let's talk a lot of Texas Tech baseball tonight, as we look back on Tech getting swept by Kansas. What happens next? If you're on YouTube, we want to hear from you. Red Dawn. I see what he did there. See, there was a movie in the 80s called Red Dawn, but his name is Dawn. He's a Tech fan, so it's Red Dawn. See, very good. CJ, I got nothing for that. Didn't do much. And then obviously our Facebook friends and our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, by the way, to all of our platforms, please do that tonight. It helps all our great sponsors like Thacker Jewelry, where it's anniversary time for a lot of you guys. You ought to run out there and, maybe some earrings, a little necklace, something. I mean, you don't have to get her a whole new wedding ring set or anything. It's anniversary coming up, right? Get her a little something. Thacker Jewelry will take care of you in West Texas on 82nd Street, West 82nd Street in Lubbock, Texas. Tell Joe we said hello when you go out there. So, yeah, when you subscribe to all the platforms, you never miss anything. It helps all of our great advertisers. Everything's good. And we get the comments when we get those in. Maybe the best news of the day, and we found out last night. We didn't utilize it because I didn't ask for the information to be utilized from a public standpoint. But went to the hospital yesterday after getting beamed in the head. He was relieved last night. He was back at the team hotel. I believe he had dinner with the team in uniform today. Took some cuts in the batting cage. Obviously not ready to go, but about as good a report as you could get for Dylan Maxey. And I've seen a lot of things over the years, and watching it yesterday made my stomach upset in a way it hadn't been in a while, seeing something like that. It's rare that you see a pitch just absolutely drill somebody flush, and he just caught it flush in the forehead. And thank God for the batting helmet, and thank God it wasn't any worse. I've been at that park when we saw a comebacker back in '98 crack the shin bone of a Kansas pitcher back in the days of the hot bats. I've seen an OU pitcher dropped at Danlaw Field took one off the chest in the hospital, I think for 2 days. So we've seen some things, but that one yesterday, a guy getting beamed, that's about as rough as we've seen it. So, screw the fact you got swept. He's okay. Everything's all right there. That's the big win out of the weekend. To me, that's the big win. So, uh, after that, you look around today, and got to go to the scores, d1baseball.com. Thank you, Kendall. Yeah, so West Virginia beats Baylor 13-4. Look at that. Somebody scored 13 runs. You had UCF getting beat by Cincinnati. Texas got. Are we in the bottom? We're in the bottom of the seventh right now. 7-5 Texas over OU. Houston beat UT Arlington in non-conference 10-4. And then Texas and OU playing again. They canceled yesterday completely. So the latest standings right now in the Big 12. You have Oklahoma at 15-4, Oklahoma State 14-7. And remember, this goes on winning percentage. No matter how many games you play, no games are made up. Oklahoma got a 9-game winning streak going into today, by the way, that's on the line. So 789 for OU, 667 for Oklahoma State, West Virginia 667, Texas 579, Kansas 571 with the sweep up to 12-9, and Texas at 500 along with Cincinnati. Will the Big 12 standings even matter this year? Oh, I think you've got one regional host this year in the Big 12. There are a lot of good teams. There's not a great team in the Big 12. There are a lot of good teams. There are a lot of average to good. Well, there are several good teams. There are a lot of average teams, and then that's it. So even if you're Texas Tech right now, by taking out Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and you got to win the series against Oklahoma, I think, because you could easily go to Oklahoma State and get swept, even if you were playing well. They're just that good at home. And then the Arizona teams this year, Arizona State, UNLV, give you nothing on RPI. So you got 2 weeks to build the RPI and make sure you're still inside, I would say 40 for sure. Is going to A&M in play now? Completely, I think so. 100%. That if you finish behind Texas, I think the committee would love to send Texas down to A&M. But if Texas finishes ahead of you, whether they're on that 2 line and they're going to be close, doesn't really matter. They'll send Tech down to A&M. That's the only place I don't think you can get out of here. And that's the harsh reality of where we are right now. So, diagnose to me why Texas Tech is having the struggles this year. So I see a lot of people on Twitter, on social media, that it's this, it's that, it's whatever. So what is it? What needs to be fixed, in your opinion? Glad you're with us tonight on Diamond Talk, brought to you by Thacker Jewelry in Lubbock, Texas. Texas Tech baseball, Big 12 baseball, National College baseball, whatever you want to get into, we can discuss that tonight, thanks to United Supermarkets, providing all the communications. Whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Twitter, doesn't matter. Facebook, you can get your comments. And I know Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, not everybody's wheelhouse. So if you want to come back later on tonight on Twitter, at Ryan Hyatt Media, if you're not following us, you should. You can post some questions. It's hard to diagnose sometimes on Twitter and have a good dialogue back and forth. I like doing it right here. I get it, though. People are busy, but hey, that's when the game did, and that's when we get a chance to talk about it. So we appreciate you guys being out there. So if you are watching the replay, you can comment on the website, theraiderland.com. You can get us on Twitter at Ryan Hyatt Media, Facebook, Ryan Hyatt's Raiderland, whatever you want to do. Jason says, you've mentioned it several times before, situational hitting. Yeah, that's been a bane for this team all year long. Where were we today? Let's go comparison and look at today. Remember, you got up early 2-0, then you gave up immediately, runs 1 spot in the 3rd. So today, overall hitting, you hit 229. I think you hit about 210 for the weekend. 2 outs, you were 4 of 13. That's not horrible. That's not really horrible. Runners on, 5 of 14. But you didn't do anything with it. In scoring position, 2 of 10. Lead off, 1 of 9. There are days, there are metrics when that could actually get you there. Maybe, but not today. Let's go yesterday on the comparison numbers in the 11-2 game. You were 4 of 32. Not you, but that's 125. 1 of 10, 2 outs, runners on, 1 of 13. There you go. Scoring position 1 of 7. And then we go back to Friday night in the 4-3 game, the meltdown in the ninth. Seen it before, it's still painful. And once again, you go 4 of 13, 2 outs, 308. Not horrible. Runners on, though, 4 of 20. What was the LOB? Yeah, the LOB was 8. And then runners in scoring position 2 of 7. That's how you get beat for the most part. Can these things be fixed? Can these issues be fixed going forward? I want to say yeah. I want to say I look at the individual talent, and I just look at individuals up and down the lineup, in the pen and in the starting rotation. I go, these are pretty good these are talented college baseball players. That's why they're at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a great program. Not having a great year, but they're a great program right now. You don't get to Texas Tech unless you prove it. You can perform at a really high level. Can they all turn it on at one time? I don't know. We'll start with the offense first. Tim Tadlock and the entire coaching staff have struggled all year long trying to figure out a way to stretch this lineup out, to figure out how to put crooked numbers up, that they'll have a big, 6-run inning and then you don't do anything else. Nothing seems to build off anything with these guys. I don't know if that's going to change or not. That individually they're all good hitters, but throughout up and down 9, it just doesn't translate. I don't know what you do different. You put cash up, you put cash down. Put cash down always. Never pay credit. You've tried to work the Lopez Pompey deal at the bottom of the order, and it seems like that should absolutely work. There's no reason why that shouldn't. Doesn't translate. Kevin Bazell is the most professional hitter you've got, yet we can't seem to find opportunities where that can translate in the lineup. I don't know. I don't know that there are any more buttons for Tim Tadlock to push offensively. All right, so let's go to pitching. Like what Free has given you. Love the fact you start people off with the lefty, get them out of their normal lineup a little bit maybe, or force them to keep guys in a lineup that maybe aren't comfortable facing a lefty 2 to 3 times through the order. Love that. And he's pitched effectively enough to win here lately. Robinson, guy as close as you got to a bulldog, and goes as far as he can, and then it doesn't happen. And then Heuer, young guy, like what he has. Did you leave him in too long today? No. Here's why. At a certain point, somebody's got to make a pitch. We use the term execute a pitch today. You got to execute a pitch. We used to call it you got to make a freaking pitch. Sometimes that's throwing a strike. Sometimes that's throwing in a certain location. You can't just immediately go to the bullpen. Well, hold on. The bases were loaded. And he's like, I know. But at a certain point, your guys have to make a pitch. Bullpen. Let's talk about Thacker. Looked like he'd never seen a baseball Friday night. Today, he looked great. That's what you're dealing with. You never know what you're going to get out of this team right now. Normally at this time, and you guys, I want your questions, your comments, fire away. It's Diamond Talk presented by Thacker Jewelry. Joe Thacker, good West Texan, great West Texan. I want your comments, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We get them from everybody. Thanks to United Supermarkets. Just fire away there. It should show up on my screen. If it doesn't, I apologize, but it should show up on my screen. I don't know. That this time of year, almost every year, other than 2015 after the 14 trip to the World Series. And that year, the problem had been you didn't have pitching depth. You got killed in the midweeks. A little bit different than this year. This team, to me, right now, still has as many, maybe more. Maybe more. I think if you are sitting there in the coach's office tonight, when you get back home, and they will, or they might come in tomorrow. You look around and you go, I don't know that I know anything more about this team than I did in mid-February, in late February. Usually by now, guys have claimed roles. You can get on the coaches all you want, but they give guys every opportunity to claim a role, to take possession and own something in this program. You're brought here, you're good, you're talented. You want to get out on the field, you go get it. We'll give you every opportunity to do it. On the Tech coaching staff right now, I'm looking around going, nobody's really claimed the team from a leadership standpoint. Two, there are a lot of different roles that are still ill-defined and we don't know. And you just don't have many more outs to play with. Some teams never come around. Some teams never coalesce. I broadcast a lot of Texas Tech baseball over the years. I broadcast a lot of Lady Raider basketball over the years. Called a ton of different Texas Tech sports, including volleyball, when volleyball was really, really kicking ass back in the 90s. High-level high school football, you name it, I've called it. Some teams just never get there. And as we roll into May this week, my fear is this team's just not going to get there. CJ, not mature enough. They get down, they let it get to them. Maybe that's it. I don't know. We talk about maturity in college sports, and, in baseball, most of the guys are only there for 3 years. It's not like you got 10-year veterans. And that's why I said yesterday, this is not a developmental level at High 1 Big 12 baseball. I won NCAA baseball. It's win today. You don't have the luxury of developing guys. You have to have guys that can come out and perform right now because your job is to win. It's not to make players better. It's to win. Minor league baseball is the job of making players better. You don't care if a guy goes out and wets his pants. The big club wants him out there 10 times, and you throw him out there. It doesn't matter what the score is. They send in, for minor league baseball, the player reports. They don't send in the game report we won. They send in the individual player reports. And it's hard for, I think, a lot of college baseball fans to understand, maybe even Tech fans. It's not Tim Tadlock's job to develop these guys. It's his job to get guys in who can perform and play. Damon says it seems, no matter how good or bad that Tech is, when it comes time to go to Lawrence, Tech just looks terrible as a team. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you've had some struggles up there, Jason says walks frustrate me to no end. Hewer looked pretty darn good. Gave up 5 in the 4th. How do you even do that? Well, if we want to get into Mac Hewer, we can get into mechanics. And this is a young man who is a big, strong kid. I think he's always been able to pretty much blow it by people and physically dominate hitters at almost every level he's played at. He's got some decent breaking stuff. He needs to locate better. But the thing I look at Hewer right now, and this is something that maybe can be addressed in the offseason or as he gets a little bit older, he's not utilizing his frame nearly as much as he can. He needs to be striding out a little bit more. He needs to come. He comes in and his release point is here. Then sometimes it's here, and it's pretty dominant on where his lead foot comes down. That if he would just stretch out a little bit and utilize his frame and trunk a little bit more and get a little more arm slot extension, that I think you would probably add an inch or two to the fastball and everything else. But, he's just not doing that right now. He's not doing it. And again, you get guys who are like that I think are really physically dominated, and they've never really had to do much on that front. And sadly, in youth baseball and tri-ball and everything else, so many of the coaches are not worried about making the player better and maybe going through an awkward phase. They want to win games. They want rings, baby. We got to get rings and trophies. We got to go win that. No, you don't need that. So I watch Hewer, and it reminds me, to a lesser extent, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Haveman a few years ago, but Haveman was a more complete pitcher. So you look at Hewer today, and as he's struggling there in the inning, go back, and I don't know if you recorded or whatever, but go back and look at the release points and go back and look at where his lead foot lands and what he's not doing, trunk to upper body transition to the plate. That's what I see with Hewer, and you see that with a lot of guys that age. And again, this is where we don't have time to develop that in games if you're college baseball. I need to win game. I can't let him have those innings. I get fired if I let him have those innings. In minor league baseball, they do that every day there in Kissimmee and Peoria. Bruce, there's no one on this team that can consistently spot a pitch. I would say closest to that is Robinson on his good days. But you are correct that, these guys are horrible. There go my golf clubs driving off. My son's going off to play golf. I got like 8 jobs. I don't get to play golf. He ain't got no job. He's going to play golf on a Sunday evening. Yeah. Yeah. You look at this pitching staff and you look at location, they're horrible real estate agents. They have no idea what location is. I say they have no idea. That's not fair. That's not true. They do have an idea. But to consistently hit that spot, yeah, struggles with that. 100%. This is Diamond Talk. Texas Tech getting swept by Kansas today. 4-3, 11-2, and 7-3. Brought to you by Thacker Jewelry. We want to hear from you. Thanks to United Supermarkets on the communication chat lines and everything else. If you are out there and want to share it with your friends, it's easy to do. Thoughts on this, thoughts on the game, anything else, big, tall, small, or in between. We love talking Texas Tech baseball. Somebody said on social media, it's just a bad team. This is not a bad team. A bad team is a team that has no chance of making the tournament, no chance of being in the NCAA tournament. This is a talented team that I don't believe, and I think if you asked Tim Tadlock, and he answered honestly, and I've known him since I was calling his games when he was playing baseball. That's right. That's how old we are. He's an honest guy. He would say, no, this team has not reached its potential, its peak. It hasn't. Coaches can only go so far. You can only put people in a position to be successful. And I believe that this staff does a good job of putting guys in a position to be successful. At a certain point, they got to play. Am I putting it all on the players? No, 100% not. At a certain point, you got to do it that way. You got to do it. Damon, over under how many clubs will be missing from your bag when he gets back for the golf? All right, so I was looking at the bag before he left, and I was showing him how to organize the clubs and how to stack them in a bag and put them. I mean, they don't know. He's country, man. He don't know. They're like, no, let's see, put these here and this, that, there. Didn't we have a 9-iron in here a few weeks ago? No, a 9-iron. We had a 9-iron, right? Where'd this come from? Like a club I've never even seen. So they just get out there and play golf. So that's okay. I gave him a sleeve of Pro V1s from about 15 years ago. God knows what that's going to do when he hits them. I have no idea what's going to happen there. So just glad he's getting a chance to play. I mean, he doesn't have a job or anything. Might as well play golf. But yeah, it's an interesting looking bag when he brings it in, to say the least. What you gonna do, though, right? Proud of him. He's going to graduate here in a couple of weeks off to West Texas State in the fall. Let's go Buffs. West Texas State. Not that other name for it. West Texas State is what we call it. You got some time to get in. We'll go a few more minutes. Big day tomorrow here around Raiderland. Helmet stickers will be handed out. TheRaiderland.com. Check that out. Raiderland hot links. You don't want to miss those. Hope you guys like those. I try to put in fun stuff, cool stuff. If you guys are new to the website, you need to check it out. And then we got our column today, 5, not 4, not 6, 5 things we know on a Sunday. Some of y'all can relate to number 5, maybe. And we had a lot of fun putting together number 3, which is top tribute bands that don't exist but should. Tribute bands. We're not a cover band. We're a tribute band. What was that movie? Rockstar? Yeah. Wahlberg in it? Rockstar? Yeah. Jennifer Aniston, I think, is in it. It's a movie. So your last thoughts before we get out of here tonight. What's going to happen? I don't know. I could absolutely see Tech coming back home, beat UT Rio Grande, who beat Texas, by the way, in a midweek just a few short weeks ago. But you beat those people, and then Oklahoma, you take 2 of 3, you play well. Maybe the wind's a little warm, the wind's blowing out a little bit. Heck, you could sweep those people, go get swept by Oklahoma State, and then you're going out there to Tempe, 2 against Arizona State, 1 against UNLV, and you get 2 of 3, and you're great. You're locked in. You're a 3. Everything's good. Or you can't get anybody out Tuesday, and you have a day like you did against New Mexico. You don't score any runs. I don't. This is the first team under Tim Tadlock that I have zero read on this time of year. By this late in the year 2015, we had a read on it. Go back to 2014, we had a wonderful read on it. This team's not going anywhere. We know they're not going anywhere. They'll be lucky to make the tournament. They were lucky to make the tournament. And then, of course, we saw what happened there at Miami and Coral Gables, and they come home against College of Charleston. We know all that happened. So there you go. This team, dang, I ain't got nothing. Bruce wants to know. Bruce has got a flag and a cactus. I like the fact you guys put on cool stuff like that. In my opinion, who is the biggest disappointing player this year? Cash for me, Cash with a K. I had a conversation a couple of days ago with a noted baseball scholar. We're like, is that the biggest disappointment? Is this one of the biggest? And they made a point to me that said no. Last year for Cash was one of the biggest overperformance above WAR numbers, not really who you are type years that you'll probably ever get. That if we utilize the term regression to the mean, that we probably seen Cash be a lot more who he is this year and the type of hitter that he probably is, as opposed to just the magic carpet ride he got last year. I was like, an interesting way to put it. But your immediate deal this year is go, what a horrible year, as opposed to go, my gosh, what an unbelievable out of your noggin year last year. I think somewhere in between. I think Cash has probably been frustrated this year. Your 4, your 5, your leadoff, your that, your first, your right field. Played a lot of right field in the fall. That's why he was out there this weekend after the injury with Green and everything. So when you say biggest disappointing player this year, I mean, do we have to? I guess we got to draw it down to one single player. Okay, then yeah, then you would say what you got last year, production wise. What's happened this year? Not there. I think for me, I still look a little bit, and it's maybe unfair with TJ Pompey as a freshman, but him and Lopez, I really thought we'd see a really good hit ratio combination, get on base, slap it around, punch and Judy type stuff. And, Pompey's really struggled back at, and Lopez just hadn't got it going. I really thought he would. Simply regressing to the mean, says John Carter. John busting out the mathematical terminology. And there's probably not just a little bit of that going on, which means he's a really good baseball player. He's a good baseball player. Last year was insane. Had he duplicated it this year, we're talking about 2 of the greatest back-to-back seasons in college baseball in the last 20 years. So I'm reluctant to just absolutely drop the hammer on that and say, oh, yeah, well, he sucks. No. How about he was amazing last year? He's a pretty good baseball player this year. And I feel like I've been frustrated watching him be frustrated. Frustrated watching him being frustrated. Well, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You get it when we talk about that aspect of it and everything else. Last chance to get in. Get in thanks to United Supermarkets. They're on the chat line, whatever you want to call it, the transom, the communication, anything that is out there, United Supermarkets. They support Texas Tech, unlike some supermarkets around West Texas. Also, we're in the Arctic Air Studios. It's coming. The hot air is coming. Please call the bear if you need anything. In fact, call them this week and just tell them, hey, can you come out and check out my air conditioning unit and make sure we're not going to die the first time it's 110 degrees, which it will be. They saved my ass last year, July 4th weekend. Thank you, Shane. Because when's it going to go out? It's not going to go out at a good time. It's going to go out then. And they were out here. I've known those folks for a long time. They're as good as it gets in West Texas. Vote your conscience, do what you want, but we love the bear. We call the bear. Callthebear.com. See if I missed anything on the sheet. We actually do, kind of put down stuff and everything and have things ready to go. Part of it's losing to Kansas, isn't it? Before we get out of here. Well, thanks, Bruce. And that, like I said, that's not exactly me. That's just a learned baseball person talking to me. But part of it's Kansas. They get a new coach and they invest in a few things, and he says, "I'm not coming here unless you guys actually give me a recruiting." But Kansas, you get swept by Kansas. Baseball. It's not for everybody. I get it. There are a lot of Texas Tech fans that pay attention to Tech baseball who don't pay attention to baseball beyond anything other than Tech baseball. They don't pay attention to Big 12 baseball. They don't pay attention to college baseball. They really don't care about Major League Baseball, but they love Tech. And they know that this team went to the College World Series 4 times, and this team, and I get that, I understand that. It frustrates me to no end, though, because I know how hard it is to do what Tim Tadlock has done in his career at Texas Tech in a moderately tight window. I saw it firsthand. I saw how hard it is to get to Omaha. I watched really good teams. 3 teams that I would say were as good or better than 3 of the teams that have gone to Omaha for Texas Tech under Tim Tadlock. I saw those teams not get there. So when I see people saying this is a horrible year, this is a bad year, and you're still making the NCAA tournament, and you're that rankles me a tad bit. And I hate it because it takes away the enjoyment, I think, for a lot of fans. Somebody the other day said the standard is Omaha. Okay, fine. Well, let's just blow it up every 2 or 3 years if we don't go to Omaha, all right? Let's just do that. Well, these guys don't know what they're doing. Really? Because they still get a lot of really good players who want to come here. And they put players in the pros like we've never had at Texas Tech. So, okay, maybe I'm missing something. I'm not as smart as Twitter fan guy. I get it. Tadlock spoiled Tech. Yeah, no, totally got spoiled. 100% spoiled. Love being spoiled. Spoiled is a great thing. You want to be spoiled. The Rona year 20, disappointing that they didn't have the CWS. They should have. I would have loved to have seen that team played out the year. You never know what's going to happen. We'll never know. But I tell you what, that's a painful year. Lots of followers think we should go 32-8-ish every year. We don't. We say, more like 42-8. Like 42. What do you mean 32-8? 42-8. 40 wins easy regular season. How dare you lose a couple of games? Can't do that. How good was the potential for the 2020 team? Bruce, we will romanticize that team to no end over the years. It was as complete a team as Tim Tadlock has had. From starting pitching to bullpen, getting up and down the lineup, power, everything they want to do, everything that they put in place to be a Texas Tech team, that team was as complete as any team he's had. Do they get there? Never know. Would they have made it? Would there have been injuries? I don't know. Somebody would have got hurt. That's just the nature of the game, really. But I would have loved to have seen that team play it out. But they were as complete a team up and down as we've seen. It was, a little bit coalescing of everything that had gone on the previous couple of years and getting guys in who wanted to play here because you were going to Omaha. And they knew if you came to Texas Tech, you had a great chance to go to Omaha. This is pre-NIL and all that stuff. A little bit transfer, but yeah, it was really good. I put that in the 1995 Texas Tech team as the two greatest teams not to play in Omaha. And I would actually put the 1995 team ahead of the 2020 team when I look at just an incredible college baseball team that didn't make it to Omaha. And we can have that discussion another time. That goes ways back. But, yeah, the 1995 team, it's kind of lost in history now. It kind of gets mythologized for those who know, for those who remember. Yeah, that team was – what was it? Was it A&M that had a team in 89 that won 56 games and didn't make it? Something like that. All right, we're going to get out of here. Enjoyed it. We're going to archive this. We're going to put it at theraiderland.com. We want you to share it. We want you to go to the website. Check out our column, 5 Things We Know on a Sunday. And you can comment on that and share that. And then come back in the morning, theraiderland.com. I got to hit in stream. In stream, what do we do? In stream? Yeah. We're in the stream.